Hey guys, Mike here. Welcome to another video on the channel. In the last video we did the door hinges on all the doors of the vehicle, reinforced them and then refitted the doors, adjusted the shims to get a much better fitment to the door anyway that I had originally. But really the main reason was the tube fenders that I made a couple of videos back wouldn't actually clear the door because of the slop in the door. The hinge would just sag so much. So that was kind of the main reason for doing that roundabout job to fixing a problem, but also being able to use my rear tube fenders now, which are on the vehicle, and that's great. But in this video we're going to fit this bumper here that's just on the left of me. Now this is the stock Cherokee bumper that you saw me modify about 3 years back on the build video before me and Megan actually travelled and lived in the Jeep for a while and came to Sweden. And I just did some work to it, putting end caps on, reinforcing it with box section, chucking in a few baffles to take out a bit of the warp in the C channel. And it was designed to work with the rear frame stiffener I made, but also work with a tie-in bracket that went inside the frame that was just there to kind of toughen up the rear end and provide a better mounting platform for the rear tyre carrier, the bumper, the frame stiffener. Just toughen up that rear end and take out a lot of the flex you get on the back of the Cherokee. But I'm going to show you how it all goes together, really just to answer a few questions out there that I've been answered and show how the tie-in brackets work. And then I can refer you back to those videos of me actually building the stuff in the description if you want to have a look at how it's actually made. Looking at the back end of the vehicle, you can see the bumpers off, and I recently did all this because I was doing some rust control and reapplying the undercoat and doing all that kind of stuff. And if you've got any questions about the stuff I'm using or what I'm doing, I have done a video all about that and I'll put it just somewhere up here. But this is one of the tie-in brackets I made before we travelled. Ignoring the washer there, which is just a spacer, there's meant to be one on the other side, and that's just for bumper alignment. But we can take that out of the frame, and that's basically what you're looking at. Probably one of my first fabrication projects, and they could be made in such a more intelligent way and with less material, and they're pretty over-engineered and quite heavy. But you can see it's just like a piece of box section really, and I cut the nuts off of the nutsert and welded them on the inside here, and that there is just a drain hole because this is kind of like a small cup there to allow the water to come out. So this replaces the nutsert that you get that slides in the back, and to make this fit you have to cut a hole in your frame. The hole you cut is just really the excess metal that you find that kind of drops in slightly, and you have a very small hole here where you put the nutsert in, and you just need to open that up really. It's 2.5 inches wide and just over 4 inches tall in imperial, and you can check out the video I'll post in the description, and you can actually see me doing this job and get a much better idea of what you're cutting open. But if you notice, my initial design had like a channel that missed that bolt there. That's for the leaf spring hanger. The ridiculous thing that I didn't really think about was all you need to do is back that out, and then you just make a hole in the tie-in bracket instead of making a big long channel. So there's much better ways of making those tie-in brackets than what I'm showing you, and you can learn from my stupid mistakes. But just to make things a little bit tougher, I did do a DIY rear frame stiffener. When I did this job I had a lot of spare material and a lot of spare time before the trip to get this work done on the vehicle. So the rear frame stiffener runs along the bottom of the frame, and then there's a side plate that goes in between the fuel tank and the inside of the frame, and it kind of turns into an L shape part way down and then turns back into a flat plate when it connects to the center frame stiffener with a fish plate. And it has holes in the bottom, so you can obviously put the bolts straight through it and then through the original frame into the tie-in bracket. And one of the reasons for building the stiffener was also to have a new bump stop mounting location. But at least this video gives you an understanding, for those of you who ask questions about the tie-in kit, the frame stiffener, the bumper, kind of how it all works together really to make the back end just a bit better. So if you're wondering how these tie-in brackets work, I'll show you kind of with the bumper, and then you can get an idea of how it all works with the stiffener and everything else. But they're different shapes because this one's for the side where the fuel tank filler lines go through, so obviously it's got to clear that kind of oval shaped bit in the frame, and it's also slightly longer as well, but that just happened by accident. But basically this is the stock bumper, and this is the end cap made for it, the slider, with a part that comes back in and braces against the side of the frame, and there's the 4 bolts for the part that connects to the vehicle. So imagine the bracket's just going to be bolted through up there and then braced against here like that. So this is inside the frame, and then the frame stiffener's kind of running along the bottom and then going up, you know, kind of cutting in up there along the side in between the fuel tank of the frame. So you've got kind of a much tougher back end really, and with this bit in the frame. And then the tow bar, or the rear tow hitch, or whatever you call it, it's just going to go up against the bottom of the frame and get bolted in. So it means everything's kind of tied in together really effectively, and it really helps to limit the amount of flex you get at the back end of the vehicle. But time to put it together. There we go. This is not going to be easy because of the design. I'm going to have to slot it on. So although this is probably almost definitely scratching the paint, I'm not really too bothered with what happens on the underside. It's more the stuff you can see that I care about, but the reason being is I'll use an undercoat on some of the underside for stone chipping, and I'll clean it down and sort of finish it after. But the main part is just to get it on in position. I think once it's in position we'll be okay. But I built it on the vehicle, as you can probably tell, not off the vehicle, so that's why it's kind of not really well thought of. And it's actually not that very good bumper. It's quite badly made. It could be a lot lighter, leaves a lot less material. Okay, maybe we're there. Oh, the paint! I forgot there was a screw there. The pain. Oh, just soak it up. Just gotta soak it up. Okay. Better do the other side. It's gonna fall off. Bit of a there we go. That's it, we're kind of in position now, and it's going to stay there. So now you can see the back end complete, without tyre carrier but with bumper, slider, tube fender. Quite an overkill design in some respects. I guess this is what I originally stepped on to gain access to the rack at the back end when I stood on things. You can stand on the tyre, but sometimes when you're kind of on the corner here and you're getting the roof bag off, it does help to have this bit of the bumper kind of sticking out so you can stand on it and really get up there. But now what I can do is, now we've ditched the rooftop tent, I can stand on this and stand on that, get completely up on the roof, get stuff off the rack, chuck it down, pass it to Megan or whatever else. And if I do put the spare tyre up there now I've got at least a decent footing to get up there to get the spare tyre if I need it, and then I've ditched a 50 kilo tyre carrier and gained some weight there. Well, that's another job done on the Jeep, and a little bit closer to getting it out of the garage and actually being able to use it. It's amazing how all this work starts. I literally, at the end of the summer, I thought, yeah, I've had a real good time in the Jeep, been doing some wild camping, a bit of travelling in it. You know, I'm going to rethink the sleeping setup, and there's no more work to do. And then suddenly, you know, you just find something, and this monstrous amount of work has just come out of nowhere. Fabricating these rear fenders, tons of undercoat work and replenishing all the undercoat, doing a little bit of work on the box rockers and correcting a few errors, rear bumper, you know, all the door hinges and everything else, and it's all a lot of work, you know. It takes a great deal of time, and you know, it doesn't happen fast when you've got to work in the meantime. But the bumper's on, it's looking good, and the back end's looking a little bit tanked now, I must be honest. Next video, maybe we get the tyre carrier on, but I really have to build some rear wheel wells, so I'm pretty sure that will be the next video, making plastic rear wheel wells to go along with those tube slider fenders we've made. Get all that built, you know, get some splash guards in on the back end, get the splash guards back mounted under the vehicle so we can deflect the rocks and all the other crap that flies up under the car and protect all the work I've done. And yeah, and then maybe at that point be ready to take it out, although I do have to get the radio wired in. I've got a boost gauge to put in, because obviously I put the new turbo in and the new manifold and everything, got a lot more power out the engine, and I want to see what the boost is doing. And I've got to get the fridge put in too, and come up with an idea for water storage on the inside, not just the outside like you saw before, because obviously that's useless now. It's like -10 to -20, possibly sometimes even lower outside degrees C. So that water's going to freeze, so you know, it all changes in the winter. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's enough talking by me, and I'll see you in another episode really soon. Take care.